why do we want to be generous or charitable? Why do we even do this?
I think because it feels good. You pay it forward and the world becomes a better place. And then other people pay it forward and they realize that it isn't just about us. Mm-hmm. It's about the world around us. And the more you give, the more you receive. Something cool we've done too, where you can pay it forward to teach others who may not have a donor advised fund, is I have nieces, right? I have family. And one year for Christmas, I gave them all the right to pick a charity that we would donate to for them in their names.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's cool. And so they learn that giving is important too. Mm-hmm. And they'll pay it forward to others too.
Great.
Hello, Bill and Becky. My name is Paul Mollenkoff. I am a fellow member of the FI community, and I wanted to share some news with you. I've written a book. It is a personal finance book. The concept is a collection of short fictional stories that introduce the financial independence community to the reader. Within the stories, I work in references to FI content creators, including you. My referencing your work is meant to be honorable. It's meant to be a means to say thank you for your contributions to my FI journey. I was a late starter, so catching up to FI definitely holds a place for me, resonates with me in a lot of ways, and I really enjoy your work.
Welcome to Catching Up to FI, a podcast on mindset, money, and life for late starters of any age on their journey to financial independence. I'm Bill, and I'm a late starter.
I'm Becky, and I'm also a late starter, and we're your hosts. We're here to help you with your journey to financial independence, no matter where you're starting from.
We're going to talk to experts, other late starters, and explore topics related to our mission.
Join us as we catch up to FI together.
And welcome back to Catching Up to FI. I'm Bill Yount with my co-host Becky Heptig, and we're recording to you live from Podcast Movement. Becky, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm exhausted, but I'm doing great.
Yeah, I mean, we took the time in the last hour or two to put together an outline for you on charitable giving. We're calling this episode Labradoodles and Financial Peace.
That's right. And this is a topic that we've been wanting to talk about for a while because it really is an important topic.
Yeah, I mean, we think giving should come high up on your list of things to do financially, maybe even first for a lot of people.
Right. So let's just start with, why do we want to be generous or charitable? Why do we even do this?
I think because it feels good. You pay it forward and the world becomes a better place. And then other people pay it forward and they realize that it isn't just about us. Mm-hmm. It's about the world around us. And the more you give, the more you receive, I think.
You don't want to give because of that, but it just always works out that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, this community we're in is actually the most giving community I've ever seen. They're very charitable with their time, and I think the community is very charitable with their money too.
That's right. And it does. I like what you said. It gets you outside of yourself. It helps you realize that the world's not revolving around beings, and so you're thinking of others first. I really like that.
For our community, though, Becky, it might be a challenge. They're trying to get their heads wrapped around their money to maybe behind. So you have to wait till you have more money to give.
I don't think so. I mean, and this is a situation that's kind of tough even to wrap your head around because you're thinking, I don't have any extra money. I don't have any extra dollars. But I would encourage you to wait until you think, I'm going to wait until I've got some extra money, until I've got more money than I do now before I can give. And I think that we should start exercising that muscle. It's kind of like the saving muscle. It's something that you have to exercise in order to get better at it. And so I think we should exercise the giving muscle from the get-go, from day one.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be much, does it?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, $5, $10, put it in your budget and make a sinking fund for it.
That's right. I mean, most people who have been listening to us and who know me know that I'm a person that looks through life through the lens of faith. And so for me, giving is first. Giving is the very first thing on my budget, like savings. So the giving and the savings are at the top, and then I live on what's left.
I think that's an awesome way to live life, quite honestly.
Yeah.
One of the things we want to encourage you to do is also with impact giving. These large organizations that have a lot of overhead, And there's not a lot of pass-through to the folks that really need the money or the people that need the money. Research your organization. There's a website called Guidestar.org where you can look at their tax forms. There's a 990 form that tells you their expenses and their donations, and then what's the bottom line? How much are they actually passing through to the needs of others?
Right. And I think that is wise to do your research and give locally. I mean, we can give to organizations that have a worldwide reach, but then I would also suggest to give to organizations that impact your local region.
I agree. And interestingly, everybody thinks you donate money. But you can donate other things other than money. Becky, what do we do? If we don't have the money, what do we do?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, obviously, is to donate your time. And you and Karen do that, don't you?
Yes. It's one of our favorite things to do every week. We have 2 Labradoodles, Rudy and Lily. You may have seen them on the show.
I was going to say, we have pictures of them on the Facebook group.
Yeah, they're in the group. And every once in a while you hear them in the background because they sit there with me, and then the UPS man shows up, and, well, they're part of the show.
That's right.
And they're therapy dogs. We got those dogs with that in design. Not necessarily just for us, although we get a little therapy out of them too. But every Friday, we take them to the Children's Hospital and visit with the kids, the parents, and the staff in dealing with cancer. My wife and I are both physicians, and we become responsible for people's health, and that can be stressful. And when we go, they don't know who we are. They don't know we're physicians. And it's like bringing flowers. You're bringing happiness, you're bringing smiles to people that really need them. And it's the only thing that we have to give up is our time. The dogs love the work. They look forward to getting their little outfits on that they have to wear. My little bandanas.
Oh my gosh.
They have name tags.
Oh, we've got to see this. We've got to see pictures of it. I could just imagine these kids of the dogs. Oh, that's got to be just so heartwarming.
Well, so Becky, what do you do to donate your time?
Well, one of the main things that Steve and I have done in the past is we teach Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University class at our church, and we've also taught it just in our home. Most people know that that's sort of where Stephen and I started turning our financial lives around. And for anyone who needs a mindset change or who needs the tools to get out of debt, I would highly, highly recommend that you take a Financial Peace University class. I would also suggest that you don't stop with that. There is more beyond that. That for a lot of people, that's a great place to start. It made so much difference for us. That's why we felt like we needed to pay it forward.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Ramsey and that to help get out of debt, which is one of the first parts of the journey, and it's one of the best things I think his platform does with the snowball and the avalanche and the baby steps. But yes, there's many more steps after the 7 baby steps to people, and we're there for that. We're trying to provide you with additional steps.
Exactly.
Now, what else can you donate other than your time, other than money? Just give us an example.
Well, something that folks may not think about is you can donate a car. There are lots of organizations that will take your car and they will either use the car you donate or they might sell that car and then buy a different car that fits the need better. But I know lots of folks that have actually donated vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, there's organizations you want to give a shout out to. Habitat for Humanity, the Ronald McDonald House, Salvation Army, Vehicles for Veterans, and Cars for Kids. That's K8RS number 4 KIDS. We looked up these websites and it looks very, very robust. And it's something we can do with our used cars.
Exactly. And then I have an organization that is near and dear to my heart. It's called On Ramp. It actually is a local organization in the Brazos Valley area in Texas, which happens to be where Texas A&M is. That's my alma mater. And the folks there at On Ramp donate cars to people who do not have reliable transportation. For example, College Station is about an hour and a half to 2 hours, probably 2 hours from the medical center in Houston, where a lot of folks go for, say, different kinds of cancer treatment or dialysis. And I found out recently you cannot get on the list for a kidney transplant. A dialysis patient cannot get on the list for a kidney transplant unless you could prove you have reliable transportation.
Yeah, you got to get to your appointments, right?
That's right. That's right. So that's what on-ramp does.
The other things you can do that we sort of thought about, and people do this in our community because we become minimalist at times, because you unload all that stuff on your shoulders. It's weighing you down, slowing you down. And it is sort of the bearable lightness of being to have less stuff in your life. So go to Goodwill. Go to the organizations that will take your old stuff and repurpose it for those. Then a lot of us shop at consignment stores.
Oh, I do.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. I shop at the secondhand stores. I think I can get a lot of benefit from it. And I don't know if you've noticed this, because you're not as old as I am, but the older I get, the less stuff I want.
Oh, yeah.
The less stuff I want around me, because you have to clean it, manage it, store it, whatever it is. And I just don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, my wife and I have to be on the same page in that. I'm a stuff processor and throw it outer. She has a book habit, for example, and we don't have any space more for putting the books that she buys. Usually in the middle of the night when I'm asleep.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah, and then as far as other things you can donate your talent. Okay, maybe you have a particular talent, like you're a musician, and somebody needs that in their life.
Right. I mean, there's lots of folks that say go to the elementary school and work with kids. I went into the school and sat and did flashcards with kids who needed extra help with their math skills. Or, like you said, if you are a musician, there's lots of places that you can go and share that talent.
Well, we've all, as late starters, we all have experience, right? We've learned from life. We have our talents and our own professions, our new Renaissance careers, and we can mentor others, right? I've referred my son to mentors in the community, and it's made a huge difference in his life because it's not just me. It takes a village, right? You can't just do it as a mother or a father. You need to outsource some of the growth and development of your children.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I think, personally, everyone needs a mentor. Everyone needs someone that will hold them accountable and that they can go to for advice. I think everybody needs a friend to walk alongside them, shoulder to shoulder in life, and that everyone should be a mentor. Find someone that you can pay it forward to.
Well, you're my accountability partner, right? This podcast would not exist but for you, Becky.
Well, and you too, Will. But this has just been, it's been so much fun. And I have fallen down in my job as his accountability partner. I told him I would hold him accountable for rowing, for using his rowing machine that's collecting dust. And I have not held up my end of the bargain. So I am promising you here on air, I'm going to try to do a better job.
Yeah, honestly, I have been sacrificing my health, activity, and workouts for this podcast probably a little too much.
This has been too much fun.
Well, most people think about giving cash.
Mm-hmm.
That's the typical way you donate, whether it be Facebook or through your credit card to an online organization that somebody sends you an email. What's the disadvantage of giving cash?
Well, one thing is, if you think about it, the cash that you're donating is after-tax dollars. So you're having to earn X amount of dollars and then subtract the taxes from that before you have the dollar that you can give.
And not everything passes through the organization. The website that you donate through will take their cut. And the credit card companies take their cut.
That's right.
So you're actually donating less than you think you are with cash.
Right.
And we want to talk about ways that you can do it differently.
Absolutely. And we've got two big ones
that
we can talk about.
All right, go ahead.
The first one is the Donor Advised Fund. So that allows you to donate to the same charities like you do now. And there's a lot of advantages to the Donor Advised Fund. Can you just explain that really?
Yeah, we use them. I'll tell you how we use them in a minute, but let's go through some of the mechanics. Now, you can support charities anonymously. Sometimes you don't want all that junk mail. You get your address out there, you get your name out there, and then all of a sudden you're bombarded where they sell your information and you're bombarded from other charities. This allows you to be anonymous, which may be something that you want to do.
That's true. And another thing that is really cool about a Donor Advised Fund is that you can set up donations automatic.
Yeah, you don't have to think about it.
That's right. That's right. And we love automation, don't we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, optimize it all.
That's right. That's right. Especially in our saving, and you can do the same thing with your giving.
And one thing we've done, too, is we've named successors to our fund. It doesn't die with us.
Okay.
Our children are the beneficiaries of the donor advised fund. And they're learning from us how to do it. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But when we're not there anymore, part of our estate plan is that this becomes a giving machine that is self-perpetuating, much like you can do with a 529 plan. It doesn't have to end with your kids' education. It can be carried forward into the education of future generations, just like the giving through a donor advised fund can last many generations.
If so, at your death, then the funds that are in the donor advised fund, then your children then become the custodian of that.
Yeah, just like with a high yield savings account, you have beneficiaries. You have beneficiaries for your donor advised fund.
Okay. And then will the charities that you've been donating to, do they have to continue to donate to the same ones, or do they get to choose their own?
No, they get to choose their own. Okay. We've created a list, basically, because it keeps track of who you're donating to. But like I said, we'll get into exactly how we do it in a minute.
And one thing to keep in mind is that when you transfer funds into a donor advised fund, that is a completed gift. In other words, you can get that money back.
Right, in the taxable year that you give it.
Yes.
So then there's some strategies, actually, that you should use when thinking about this, as opposed to hodgepodging your gifts. What should you consider doing with the donor advised fund to maximize the tax benefit?
Well, one of the things with the standard deduction, as high as it is today, which it may not stay that way in the future, given the changes in tax laws, but with the standard deduction, then it's hard to give enough in any one year so that you can actually deduct that charitable giving on your taxes. So one of the things that a donor advised fund allows you to do is to lump those donations. You can put 2 or 3 years worth of donations into your donor advised fund, and that gets you above the standard deduction so that you can take some of this on your taxes.
Yeah, you accumulate it in advance, and then all in one tax year, you take the deduction. You have your mortgage interest and your state taxes just don't get you there. But on top of this, you can donate money and get above, $26,000, $27,000 or so of the standard deduction, the tax benefit.
That's right. And the money can stay in that fund over time. That if you donate, let's say, for example, that you're a single person, the standard deduction right now for 2023 is $13,850. So let's say that you want to fund your donor advised fund with $20,000. You don't have to give all that in that same year. It can sit there and then you can give it as you see fit. But that gave you a way to put some of that on your taxes.
So let's talk about what we can give to a donor advised fund. Okay. And I think this is one of the major advantages of it. You can give appreciated shares of your individual stocks, of your low-cost mutual funds that have low bases.
That's right.
Because you don't want to necessarily pay capital gains on that above and beyond money that's like, this will be the last thing I sell. I don't know what to do with it. Say, for example, you bought Apple 20 years ago, and it's appreciated significantly, and you're adverse to the capital gains tax. You can donate that and all its appreciation tax-free to your donor advised fund.
Right. And like we were talking about before, if you donate cash, you're donating after-tax dollars. So you would have to pay the taxes on all that capital gain. And then what's left, you'd have to donate. But this way, you can donate all.
That's why I would not donate cash to a donor advised fund.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, when you put the money in the donor advised fund, it can be turned into cash at that point.
If you want to be conservative, yeah. But what we do is we have it in a 70-30 BTSAX and total international funds, just like, and we want maximum growth, right?
Right. But if you have those appreciated shares, they don't have to stay in those shares.
No.
You can turn it into cash and then invest it how you see fit.
Yeah, they let you do it. They have funds for you to invest in that are just sort of growth and income or pure growth or income. They set up some standard funds. But you can do exactly what you would do in your own brokerage account.
Right. So you have pretty much the same choices as you do in a standard brokerage account. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can individualize it and do it yourself, although it may cost you a little more to do theirs as far as expense ratios. But let's talk about that. How do you establish one? You can establish it at almost any custodian. Our family has actually 2. We established one at Fidelity Charitable. The minimum, I believe, at this current time that you need to donate to start this up to cover costs is $5,000.
Okay.
The sweet spot for the minimum expense ratio for their managing your funds is probably around $16,000, $17,000.
Okay. So there is a cost to them.
Yes. Well, it's functionally like a trust.
Okay.
But you don't have all the paperwork, you don't have all the legal, you don't have all the management fees. It's a much more efficient and inexpensive way of creating your own trust for your family.
Okay.
We also have one with Vanguard, and the minimum there is higher. But if you have this kind of money that you want to donate, Vanguard is a good one for larger donations because the entry level is $25,000. Okay, and what you can donate from Fidelity, the minimum is $50. Okay.
Okay.
So you can make a series of small donations throughout the year, and then with Vanguard, the minimum donation is $500.
Okay.
And what our family does, we have both, and we create our list of 501c3 charities, the nonprofits that we just, as I find out one, oh, this is a cool one, I want to look into this, and I go into Fidelity and I donate $50 or $100. So during the year, I'll create the list for our family. And at the end of the year, Giving Tuesday, Thanksgiving time, our family get together and we'll go through the list and any others that we may have found out about through the year. And we vote. We say where we want to donate more money, the bigger gifts for the year. Yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress. And we like doing it that way. And we like teaching our kids to do it.
Right. We do something similar. We have, it's not a true foundation, but we have what we have labeled as the Heptig Foundation. And so there's Stephen and I, and then we have 3 grown children. And we take turns every year. And as part of our Christmas list, we create our Christmas list of what folks would like to give each other for Christmas. At the top of that list is that year's, whoever's turn it is that year. And they choose the charity. So all of us will donate to that charity that year. And then the next year is the next person's turn to pick.
Something cool we've done, too, where you can pay it forward to teach others and may not have a donor advised fund, is I have nieces, right? I have family. And one year for Christmas, I gave them all the right to pick a charity that we would donate to for them in their names.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's cool. And so they learn that giving is important, too. And they'll pay it forward to others, too.
Great. And what they need to keep in mind is donations from a donor advised fund do have to go to a qualified 501c3.
Right. It's not profits. You can't donate to, say, somebody's private trust. So it does maybe limit you a little bit, but I don't see it as limitation.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, there is a cost to it. Okay. It's not free, just like having your own private trust would be, but it's low. It's like, I think at Fidelity, 60 basis points, which is 0.6%. So you think of it like an expense ratio. There is a cost of doing business, all the paperwork and the vetting of charities. And when you submit one, they actually do have to make sure that it's a proper charity. And so there's checks and balances. Right.
All right. So what kinds of things can we put into a donor advised fund?
Well, you don't have to just put appreciated shares in, although that's that's what we do.
Yeah, that's a
great thing. You can put art, you can put crypto. I think you could even put your house in there. Honestly, I think that's possible. So you could put commodities and tangible goods in. You just have to talk to your custodian about what to accept.
Okay, great. All right. So one advantage to this is it's going to streamline your tax or record keeping into one convenient location because that's where the donations are going to come.
You don't have to keep track of all these receipts and itemize. It's very simple. One-stop shopping.
Great.
And I love growing your donation tax-free. I mean, we donate essentially appreciation.
Well, and it's the other side of the coin of if you donate cash, you're donating after-tax dollars. So this can be a way to donate the appreciated securities. And because you can let it grow, just like the money in your brokerage account or your 401k is going to grow, then actually you have an accelerated giving that you can do.
Yeah, just think of it as an inaccessible part of your portfolio that's for somebody else.
Right.
And you can give before you die. Why do you want to die as the richest person in the graveyard, right?
That's right. Yeah. You don't win if you do that.
And it's just so rewarding. You feel better. I mean, for example, we donated to CareCuts, in Knoxville, where they provide haircuts for the homeless. You get them all gussied up. Appearances do matter, right?
Sure.
And
Sure.
they help with their self-esteem.
Yeah, and give them dignity.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, one of the things that we learned in our day rates class was that giving is one of the most fun things you can do with money. And that seems a little counterintuitive, but it is absolutely the truth.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just makes you part of the world in a different way. You're not caught up in yourself.
Right.
All right, we want to talk about one other way of giving that's more applicable to our retired audience.
Yes. This gives folks that are a little bit older an even bigger advantage, and that's called a qualified charitable distribution. So a qualified charitable distribution, or QCD for short, gives you a lot of the same advantages as a donor advised fund. You can pick where you want the money to be donated to. You have all of the, like you said, the paperwork is all in one place. So they work similar to that, but they do have a few differences.
Yeah, and then you kind of have to be 70 and a half to do these things. This is when your requirement of a distribution sort of kick in, right?
Well, as of now, for after Secure 2.0, the R&Ds are required in the distributions from your 401k, your traditional 401k or your traditional IRA are starting at, depending on your age, at 72, 73, and in several years it's going to go up to 75. It depends on the year you were born. But QCDs can start at 70 and a half. And one of the things that they do is they can take the place of either all or part of your required minimum distribution. So this is making charitable distributions from your traditional IRA, whereas if you took the money out of the IRA and then donated it, you're going to have to pay those taxes.
Right.
And we're all going to be subject to R&Ds in our traditional IRAs. So let's use an example. If your required minimum distribution for this year is, let's say, $25,000, and you want to donate $5,000 over the year to charities, well, that $5,000 QCD will take the place of part of your RMD. So you donate the $5,000, and then you'll end up with an RMD of $20,000. So it reduces some of your tax burden.
And it potentially reduces your RMD for the next subsequent years, too.
Absolutely. Or the other way you could do this is if your RMD is, let's say, $25,000, you can do even beyond that. You could donate the $5,000 extra, and that definitely would reduce it for next year.
Well, how much can you donate?
You could donate up to $100,000 per person, or $200,000 for a married couple as a QCD.
Okay. What are the things that we need to tell our audience about QCDs?
So the donations need to go directly to the charity. You definitely don't want to take possession of that money. You don't want to withdraw it out of your IRA into your name and then give it.
The important thing to do, though, is vet the QCD, vet the organization, because you can't take it back, and you got to make sure that the organization is able to accept QCD.
Right. And you cannot receive anything in return. You can't receive either items or cash for your donation. So that's something that kind of trips people up sometimes with their tax planning.
Okay. And you can't make a QCD to a donation to a donor advised fund or a private foundation. It is its own entity.
Right.
Okay.
That's true.
All right. Well, we've covered a lot of giving options today, Becky.
We have. And I hope that this gives folks some ideas, maybe some things that they hadn't thought about before, some ways to combine their giving and their tax planning. You might as well take advantage of all the legal tax deductions that we could possibly get, right?
Yeah. Why give it to Uncle Sam when you can give it to somebody else?
That's right.
Okay. Well, we want to give a shout out to two particular charities that are kind of near and dear to our hearts. We've had these folks as guests on our show, and these are impactful charities. Can you tell us about Fritz Gilbert and his wife's charity that they have created?
That's right. Fritz Gilbert, that we've had on our show earlier, he and his wife have a charity called Freedom for Fido. Fritz lives in the Blue Ridge Mountain area of Georgia, and he and his wife build dog houses and fences for low-income families who have dogs on chains. Fritz mentioned to us when he was on our podcast that there are a lot of low-income families in the area where he lives, and that there are a lot of dogs on chains.
Yeah, and it wasn't a part of his retirement plan originally. Actually, it was his wife's idea, right? She was looking for what would give her meaning and purpose in the soft sides of retirement, isn't it? Right? And she came up with this idea, and it's grown exponentially down there. They're getting truckloads, semi-loads of fencing and lumber delivered to a barn on their property.
He built a whole barn.
They have dozens of volunteers. It's a self-perpetuating engine. They can be on a 3-month road trip, and it's still happening. They're building fences, 2 or 3 a month, and it's just taken off in the last 4 years. So we would like you to check it out, freedomforfido.org, and see if it falls into your giving plan.
That's right. And we love Fritz, and we love what they're doing with the dogs in their area. And who wants to see a dog on the chain?
Yeah, well, check out his episode, too. Right. He was on our show. I forget the title, I forget the number, but search it, you'll find it.
That's right.
Okay. The other charity we'd like to give a shout out to is Mark Troutman's, the one that he is a proponent of. As you know from his episode, his wife died of cancer at a young age. Okay. And he lives in Crested Butte, Colorado. And there is a very impactful local charity called Living Journeys. This charity provides community cancer support for Gunnison County in Colorado, therapy referrals, private group therapy grants, support groups for patients and caregivers, grants to help with medical and living expenses, meals, loaner vehicles, and there's a youth group for teens and kids dealing with cancer. The website is livingjourneys.org. And these are two that mean a lot to us. I think they can mean a lot to our community. So you know the money is going to get to the people that need it most, and these are people that are very responsible in limiting their overhead costs.
That's right. That's right. I know that Mark gave me a specific example of what Living Journeys did for them. In Crested Butte, Mark's wife, Marge, would have to go to Denver for cancer treatment. It's a 4-hour drive from Crested Butte to Denver. And Living Journeys actually gave them a loaner car to make that trip with.
It's awesome. You know, our lives have all these twists and turns. And if we can give to help other people's lives be better, why not?
That's right. That's right.
We also want to recommend a book. Okay. There's a book that I read, there's a book that my son read, and it kind of changed his life too. It's read a lot in business school, but it applies to life in general. It's called To Go Giver by Bob Berg and John David Min. It's, Adam Grant said, it's the most important parable in business book about life and business of our time. It's very short, very readable, and it talks about a salesman that is all about himself, is the taker climbing the ladder. And he finds a mentor that takes on a journey to the end point of giving first and you'll receive bountifully. Mm-hmm. Focus on solving other people's problems as opposed to your own.
That's right. That's right. And I don't know about you, but I've experienced that in my life, that when I put myself out there to help someone else solve their problem, that I always receive. And that's not the reason I'm doing it, but it just works out that way. That I receive more almost by giving. And again, that's counterintuitive, but it's the way life works.
Yeah, well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode on giving. What do we say? Labradoodles and
financial peace.
There you go. Okay.
And you know what I would love for our audience to do is two things. One is we do have a very robust list of charities on the website. So if you are looking for something, just scan through that list to see if anything rings with you. And if you already have a charity that you love, let us know about it. Put it on the Facebook group.
Absolutely. Tell everybody else.
Right. Tell us what is meaningful to you and what you've either been donating your cash to or your time or your talent. How is it that you're adding to your family and your community?
Well, in doing that, you'll only benefit the charity you support because other people trust you and are going to help out too.
That's right. And we can affect more together than we can individually.
So, absolutely. Let's catch up to 5 together, right?
That's right.
Thanks for being here this week. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Catching Up to Fi. We would appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star review so that our message can reach others.
We are not lawyers, financial advisors, accountants, or tax experts. Please consult your own professional advisors before making any important decisions. Our content is for entertainment and education purposes only.
We'll see you next time on Catching Up to Fi.